this is Creepy as FX, and today I'll show you how to make an easy face cast. So before we get started, you want to make sure your hair is not in the way. So just pin it back and make sure it sits there, because it will make a big mess if it's not pinned back. Then straight go ahead, use Vaseline on your face. You can use a good amount of it, makes it easier to get the face cast off after. Be careful that you especially do it on your eyebrows, eyelids and on the baby hairs on the side of the face. Because even if you don't know you have hair there, it will stick to it later. So just go ahead, do it all over your face, make sure it's a good amount set on your face. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and take plaster bandages. Got them from Amazon, they're pretty cheap, so this is really a cheap face cast. Cut them in pieces like that. You're gonna need different amount of sizes. So you can just cut them before, go ahead, see what sizes you need later on. Then you dip them into a bottle of warm water and pull them straight onto your face, and then smooth everything out. It's very important that you tip it with your fingers and smooth it out, because otherwise you're gonna have that little holes you see at the moment in it later, and it's gonna be a mold later on, so you don't want to have holes in it, otherwise everything will go out. So then go ahead, do that all over your face. Make sure you cover your lips as well. Be careful though, so you don't get it into your mouth, but just like do it all over the place, all over the cheekbones. And again, always tip it and smooth it out. Don't worry about your skin, you can wash it all off later. You need to do a good 2 or 3 layers of it, so it will be strong enough and thick enough later to be a mold. So don't be scared to like overlap it, it's fine. Be careful if you're working around the eye, so you don't get any plaster into your eye, obviously. That's not as good. And then go ahead, do the nose as well. And be careful, don't do the whole nose, as you want to breathe while doing this. So you can cut little holes in it, and just do it a little bit on your tip of the nose, but don't cover it completely. As you can see, I left spot open, so I can breathe very fine with it, and it still will make a good mold after. Then go ahead with the rest of the face, make sure the bandages overlap a little bit, tap it and just smooth it out, do it everywhere. As we covered our eyebrows with Vaseline before, you don't need to be scared to rip your eyebrows off, so you can cover them as well, it works just fine. When you covered both eyebrows, you want to go ahead and work on the eyes a little bit, get the nose a little bit stronger, so put an extra layer on it. You can get messy hands while doing this. Don't forget the temples, as you want a whole face cast and not just like a little bit of your face, so don't forget the edges. You can make the edges a bit thicker if you want to, so the mold doesn't break apart later on. When you're working on your eye, like I said, be very, very careful so don't like touch your eyeball with it. If you work on the edges, you can just fold the bandages a little bit so it fits into the edges of your eyes. That works pretty well. If you have someone that can help you, it may be even better to like leave your eyes closed and let someone else work around it. Then once again, I'm doing a little bit of work on the edges here, make them a bit stronger. That's just looking pretty good already. Then go ahead, take a hairdryer and make sure your mask is very dry before you pull it off. It doesn't need to be like stone, but it should not be wet. You can touch it meanwhile to see if it's still wet. It took me like 5 minutes of having the hairdryer on it till it was hot enough to take it off. And then you go ahead, like give it a little bit of pressure on the outside so it loosens, and then underneath the mask start to move your face around, as you obviously can't see on the video, but move your nose, move your lips so it looses from the mask. Then you can go underneath it slightly on the edges with your fingers as well to give it a bit of space underneath. Don't hurry this step too much, as you will break your work if you hurry too much. If there was any hair getting in the way, just get it out now. And then yeah, we got it off, and this is how you look after. Well, a little bit like snow on your face. So this is what the finished mask looks like. And now we're gonna cover the holes. Again, take plaster bandages, dip them into water, and just cover the big holes. The eyes and as well the nose. You may need to do a few layers of this because you need to cover all the little holes in it as well. A little extra water helps to soften it out. You don't need to work perfect on the outside, as we're gonna do the mold on the inside. Just need to make sure everything is thick enough so the mold stays and nothing runs out after through the little holes. You can cut the pieces while you go, so you don't need to really pre-made them. As you can see, there's still those little holes on that eye part, which I'm covering right now. And then you want to smooth it out from the inside as well with very little tips, so you don't have any sharp edges on the inside. Obviously don't do too much because you will have a different shape then, but just cover sharp edges so you get a better face cast after. As you can see what I'm doing right there on both eyes and on the nose. And then yeah, this is it. Then you want to go ahead and like do the bottom. Do like a little triangle underneath your chin and then fold it apart so it gets thicker in the first step. Don't worry if it's not like sticking straight away. Just put it on your table and smooth it out on the table, as you can see. Just use a little bit of extra water, use your fingers, and then go ahead, take the hairdryer again. Make sure you dry it in between you do the other layer, because otherwise it will be very difficult later on. So just do dry this layer and then clean your table meanwhile, because there will be a lot of stuff on it. And then go ahead, cut the next piece in, and yeah, you can see it pretty well there, I guess. Okay, there we go. Yeah, do another piece on the inner chin part. A lot of water in there. Smooth it out. So we're doing this so you get actually a bottom when we're doing for the mold later. Then go ahead, try it again, and as well, if you like stand it on your table meanwhile, you can put it on the table later so it can dry better, and you don't need to be afraid, like, you know, to have a nose afterwards because it's sunken in. So this is how it looks, and then I'm taking small pieces of the bandages, of the plaster, and just covering any holes I see. You can hold it against the light and look through the mask, so you see where it's very thin, and then just go over that with some little pieces as well. Just make sure the mask is as thick on all parts as on the other ones, so you get a solid mask to work with later. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the mask. If you covered all the holes and if you're happy with the shapes on the chin, make sure you leave it to dry overnight before you do the next step. Yeah, if there's any excess pieces, you can just cut them off. There's those smoothing the edges. And then we're done. Once the mask is completely dry, best overnight, we're gonna go back in again and take Vaseline and a small angled brush. And then we fill the inner side of the mask, cover it completely with Vaseline. Make sure, especially on little edges like around the eyes, around the nose, you do it very good and very carefully. Otherwise the plaster will stuck in it later, and you really don't want that to happen. For the big spaces you can use your fingers as well. Then once it's covered completely and Vaseline on the inside, take a little container, like a little box or something, so you can lay it down flat and it doesn't have too much pressure. Then go ahead and mix plaster with water. I'm taking roughly the same amount of water than I use plaster, but you need a runny mass, not too thick, so it will go into the small edges and small holes. Just mix it all good together. And then just pull it in there. And make sure there are no air bubbles in. Mix the second portion of plaster there because the first one was not enough. Fill it in carefully. Make sure the mask lays flat down so the plaster doesn't run out of the mask. And then let it dry overnight again. And then you have a solid plaster, and you can just pull the mask off on the outside. You will ruin the mask with it, but that's okay because we want a face cast and not a mask. So get everything out, and then it looks like this. Then you want to take some paper towels and some alcohol-based stuff to get rid of the amount of Vaseline. You don't need to remove all of the Vaseline, just where it's very thick. The Vaseline secures the plaster later on, so clay or whatever you use on top is not stuck in there. And then take a normal kitchen knife, maybe a one you don't want to use in the kitchen after anymore, and then just sharpen some little details like I do on the lips here. And then I take a nail file, a cheap one because you can throw it away afterwards, and just flatten out some excess pieces, make it nice and flat. Do that wherever you need. And then this is basically your finished face cast. Hope you enjoyed the video.